It's Vicky Hannah, and this is our part 2 from our live class, the Diploma of AOD, and the unit that we are working on is CHCDIV001. As promised, I wanted to go over our next assessment in our part 1 recording that we have done for tonight. We did task 2. That outlined for you what you would be expected to do in your research report. Task 3 sits around your role play, and in classes next week, those who attend class will be able to do the assessor-led role play. There'll be peers where you'll be able to do that for each other. So if you are ready for this, task 3 from your unit CHCDIV001, I hope you join us. All you've got to do is just use the link to your class, and if you need assistance with that, please, you can see the Learner Support Officer email behind me, which is lso@hayderinstitute.edu.au, and they will issue that link for you if it's not working, to get you directly in. Classes start at 6 p.m. We go till 9, and we'll be getting the full task 3, 3 sets, 3 individual sets inside that task. There is a requirement to have an assessor present, and there's also a requirement that there will be 3 other peers plus yourself playing the role of the worker. And it's outlined in your instructions, but let me just take you over there now to give you some support and guide you and let you know what it is that we're looking for. So I've just got on our screen now what might look slightly different, just a different colour, which is, if you come over here, you can see CHCDIV001, work with diverse people, and it's T3 of 4, so that means task 3 of 4 tasks that are here. You've got task 1, which is a quiz. You have task 2, which is in our part 1 recording. So I'm sending this out in 2 small parts for you. So task 2 is your research report, and I've done a short video for you on guiding you through that. We had a class discussion around it. And then next week, our final week on this unit, will be task 3. Task 3 is role play, and this role play has 3 parts. So the overview here is just going to outline you. Here is what you must need to be able to make this happen. So you will have your instructions, and I'll need you to go into your porthole and find the task 3 of 3. I've just been able to make the screen a little bigger for us. I hope you can all see that. So this is our overview. It's the for this task, you're learning how to, and showing that you have learned to demonstrate how to respond professionally and proactively in a respectful manner within the guidelines of the policies and procedures of the organisation, which sets the sector standard, and we give you that platform of first access to do that. This is a recording for this week's class, so I know that currently the first access site is unavailable, but for this you are going to get your full instructions ready for next week. So please don't worry, I'll walk you through this, and this will be enough, and I'll be your trainer in class next Wednesday night, and I'll be there to guide you as well. But this will come out to you in a recording to give you the instructions. So you'll need to just arrive in real time. Now, if you're watching this in a recording and you're enrolled in the Diploma of AOD and you cannot make it to class next week, but you do need this role play, then you will need to let our learner support officers know and book that in. You must be able to find 3 other people who are ready and read these instructions. It doesn't require an assessor, but it is one of those ones that if I don't explain it to you well, then you may miss some of the nuances and those skills that we need to capture when we're assessing. So I'll explain that for you now, and I hope that this is a great guide. So just if you're doing it at home and you've got 3 other people and you have coached them with all of the roles that they're going to do, it must be authentic and it must simulate as if this happened in the workplace. So you'll do it in your own time, but of course we invite you to be in class next Wednesday. Let's have a look at our instructions. So in the first part, you can see here, there's part 1 and part 2, and I'll walk you through both of those, which is after you've conducted it. In part 1, there are 3 separate scenes, and each scene it says no greater than 10 minutes, but know that where it says 10 minutes, it is 10-minute role play. It just means not greater than 10 minutes. So if you produced a role play that was 9 minutes, we'd be perfectly okay with that. If you produced a role play that was 3, it would not be sufficient for us to be able to assess you. And I want to show you what assessors are looking for. It's all micro skills. It's all that compassionate, unconditional regard. It's the pauses, the nuances, the collaboration, the taking the time. We're working with a diverse group of people, and they're in a state of conflict. So we need to see you manage that conflict, de-escalate that conflict, speak to them together, speak to them separately, and then make sure that you've got to what it is that was happening for them, enough information to be able to put that report together. And then in the final part of this, you need to be reporting up to your line manager. And you're going to take that conversation there, and you're going to be able to go backwards and forwards with your line manager and collaborate. What was it that you found? What is it that you recommend? And you'll take some guidance from there. And mostly to make sure that you're okay. But secondly, where do we go now that something like this has happened in the workplace? So with the instructions, it says that your role play instructions are here when you're going to your portal. You are to click on there and you are to go in and get your instructions. So it says each scene should be no greater than 10 minutes. We'll accept 9, we'd accept 11. But we wouldn't accept 25 minutes, but 10 is what you're aiming for. If you're recording this in your own time, then of course you will go over to the announcement section in your portal, which has a full suite of do's and don'ts for your role plays. There's a standard that you must meet, and it's minimum. And here it's got here that you will play the role as a support worker. That's exactly how you must present your recording. In an environment, in a community service environment. So even your background will need to reflect this could be happening in a workplace. Set the scene for that and make sure that you're presented dressed as if you were at work. You'll do this with 4 other fellow students, colleagues or family members. So if you're working with in the sector already, it could be your peers from work. If it's family members, they must be over the age of 18 to be participating in any of the role plays. Even though we don't share any of your private or confidential information, all of our learners are 18 or over, and we require that to be stored as well. This requires a mature approach, a developmental approach, which we encourage you to do this with your peers from class. But we do understand that not all can be, but you're very welcome to attend next week. That opportunity will be there for you to complete it. So it's about how you're going to appropriately intervene where there's a cultural misunderstanding causing team conflict. You'll need to intervene in the conflict between 3 support workers. So the each of those support workers has a script, what's happening, and which of course is in the instructions. So you need to click on here. Each scene would be no greater than 10 minutes. Each person has a role. After the role play, you will answer some questions as well and assess your application of the knowledge. So we're going to be able to do that for you. You will record this role play. It says here WebEx, but look, Zoom is free if you get what you need inside 40 minutes. So just set that up 3 times so that you don't feel under pressure. The moment you set it up, the clock starts ticking. So you don't want to be caught unawares, especially if you do one and you play it back and you go, it's not quite there, or the sound wasn't right, or the visual isn't there. So keep that 40 minutes for just the 1 10-minute role play, just so you've got a bit of wiggle room. Make sure that you name them part 1, part 2, and part 3. So in this scenario, here are your instructions. You work at First Access as a support worker. There are 2 male casual support workers at First Access who don't appear to be getting on very well and often step on each other's toes. That's a figure of speech. It means that for some reason there's no flow or rhythm, and that collaboration that when we're working in team environments makes it more professional. It's happening in the workplace as well. So here's an overview of each of those staff members. So one is an Indigenous, meaning First Nation person named Ryan, and the other one is Muslim named Hader. So is Muslim is their diversity around their religion, but Muslim as in following the faith of Islam is a religious diversity. With Ryan, his is First Nation, so it's the First Nation or Torres Strait Island, so that term there is Indigenous. Then there's some other layers to that. So Hader, who has English as an additional language, as another language, and it is sometimes hard to understand what Hader says when he gets overwhelmed. One day, their issue, it just escalated, got heated, and they started to yell at each other, so raised voices, and Hader accused Ryan of being lazy and rude. And Ryan made comments about Hader leaving the clients to go and pray. Diane, another person in the workplace, a staff member, an Australian-born support worker, gets caught up with Ryan and Hader complaining all the time about each other and tries to get them to take sides or join each other. Their conflict impacts the staff and the clients who are actually watching this happen around them. And so it's very bad for the organisation. It's quite distressing for the staff, and it's extremely upsetting for the clients that are there witness to this. In this instance, their shouts could be heard in your office where you are there, where the supervisor was in a meeting with a client. So it's impacting not just those who are there, but people further in the organisation, further down. So you'll need to come out of that office and head down there and find out what's going on. And you need to intervene and respond, not react, but respond to Ryan, Hader, and Diane to diffuse or de-escalate the conflict in a professional manner. So it'll start off with the conflict, and that first part of it will be slowly moving into that. And then you will enter the scene in the first part of it where you de-escalate de-escalate and bring everybody to that more regulated space. You're going to need to manage it. You'll need to be able to have a look at what's going on. So morning tea is late. It's normally served at 9:30. It's 9:45, and clearly, you know, Ryan's pretty angry, and the residents in this centre, they want their morning tea, and everyone's really quite unsettled. As you come in, the most important thing, we want to see what you're going to do. We need time to be able to watch you do that. Everyone will be having that conflict. They'll be verbalising what's going on, and your role is to come in through there and handle that professionally in a calm manner and diffuse that situation. So during the role play, what we'll be looking for is that you communicate in a manner that shows respect to everyone who are from diverse social and cultural groups, and then maintain that professional approach. Demonstrate inclusive work practices. There's no blame or judgment here. You're managing the situation and you're open-minded, and you want to be able to fairly and with equity and inclusivity, be able to approach each of them. And if you think it's too heated, depending on your scenario, then you might ask one of them to just go and sit and wait for you, maybe even in your office, if it's available, and you'll be with them shortly if they're not too upset, and check that they're okay. And if they need to go home and you catch up with them later, just you decide as a group how you would like this to happen. So in class next week, I'll guide everybody, but you will have needed to have read the instructions so that you are prepared for that. If you're going to do this on your own, you need to read the instructions, and you need to coach everybody that's going to be in there doing this. So if this is going on, it's highly unlikely that everyone will be sitting down calmly and you're doing the role play. We need to see it demonstrated. So they'll be standing up, they'll be all on camera. You will be on camera at all times from the moment you enter that scene. At no time are you to be absent from the recording, unless it's something like this where it says you're joining them because you can hear that noise. So you maintain a professional approach, you demonstrate that inclusive work practice, you demonstrate the use of effective verbal and non-verbal communication, that's body language, eye contact, your posturing, how you stand. What does it say? Is it confrontational or is it collaborative? And you'll approach appropriate to each social and diverse situation for the people who are all involved. There's three. So you'll deal sensitively and appropriately when encountering language barriers to ensure clear and respectful communication. This isn't about only what you say, it is about what you can have the other people say. And then when you've been able to ask them with your open-ended questions and your motivational interviewing skills, then you'll be able to listen, and we'll be watching your body language and we'll be listening to them. So a good balance in a role play is that the others are talking about 60% of the time, because you have been able to bring that out in that space. And your open-ended questions are who, what, how, when, where, and why. A closed question would be something where it just requires a yes or a no or a I don't know answer from somebody. But this one, you actually need to be able to get to what's really the underlying issue. But where will you do that? We want to see that you move this away from the residents, that you manage this effectively, because it doesn't look good. You may even need to call in another worker and make sure that the residents are okay. You might need to shuttle them along to go and have their morning tea so that you can deal with the staff members separately. We'll think about the scenario, imagine how this would go down, and you will simulate that. So you'll seek assistance from your supervisor to do a debrief afterwards and discuss the challenges and the difficulties. For the three people or the three lenses over this, which is from the client's perspective, which is very important, from the staff's perspective, also important, but also from the organisation's reputation, also important. So this cannot happen in the workplace. It needs to be addressed. So it is an incident and it requires reporting to your line manager, which forms part 3. So there's a 10-minute recording in the beginning, and you enter briefly into that as you come into it. The conflict is loud and you can hear it. And then you're going to work with the 2 staff members, you're going to work with them individually and together if they're up to that. And you're going to spend 10 minutes in that space, listening, asking open-ended questions, finding out what's going on. And then from that, then you're going to be working with them. Just enough to be able to at least settle the situation, and that you'll circle back to that as well. You'll offer them through the policies and procedures any additional support that your organisation must provide, which would be our employee assistance program, or to be able to guide them to a wellbeing officer or your HR manager. But that's not as a disciplinary or an authoritative or a punitive approach. This is about getting to what is going on here. What do we need to be able to do? What are the gaps that we missed or they missed in the agreement that they have of we will do this and you will do that when it comes down to your employment contract and your position description, because this would be viewed as unacceptable. And so we need to get it back into that space where everyone's compliant. However, your role is not that. That's a separate one. But your file notes and your conversation with your supervisor at the end of this, the end of 2, you will be speaking with your supervisor. So you will submit 3 separate video recordings for each of the 3 scenes, except for those who are coming to class. I manage all of that for you, and I provide the evidence, and I give you your assessment in real time then and there with some feedback straight away. So if you need to add an extra note to that, you can. The note that you add in there can't be, you can't see me, I'm off camera, or the sound got lost or something. That if you know that, you're going to redo that and submit it again. If you've submitted it and it's not quite there, you'll get feedback. And if there's gaps, we'll guide you what they are. But you do need to go over to the resources where it tells you the do's and don'ts for role plays, what your background's got to look like. I'll set one up for you in a moment and show you what that is. And even in class, we would expect that you would do that, or you would blur your background so that you present as at work. And then the second part to this is, after you've conducted the role plays, answer the following questions, identify the issue that caused the conflict. So by the time you get to here, you will have had that conversation with everyone. You'll have listened, you'll have entered the space, you will collaborate, you'll work, you'll find out enough information to be able to do your file notes and lodge an incident report as well. So when you do your written answers here, your role play must duplicate that. So if you say, I will do this and this is how I would approach it, we will need to have seen that demonstrated. So these 2 things are aligned. Your skills and your written work will complement each other. If you're doing your written work and you've got all of these amazing answers in it, however, your role play did not demonstrate any of those things that you wrote in theory, then even the theory cannot be marked until the role play meets it. So if you can write it in theory, then your role play is you demonstrating that you have the knowledge and these are the skills. and you're applying the knowledge that you've got from this unit. So it says here, describe how to show respect. So you will have demonstrated that, and to support colleagues who are from diverse social and cultural groups. You will also have demonstrated that in your role play. Describe the benefits of maintaining a professional approach. You will model that in your role play when cultural differences can arise. Describe how you can continue contributing to and promoting a culturally safe work environment. That's when the conflict has been settled, where everybody can move on and do their next thing. And this is your conversation that you have with your supervisor. So that's what you're demonstrating here. And how are you going to have that discussion with your supervisor where you're continuing to contribute and promote a culturally safe work environment? So your words need to be culturally safe, the environment needs to be culturally safe, and how we conduct ourselves as well. We have sound policies and procedures, and there's legislative acts around discrimination and how that happens in the workplace. So the workplace has two key legal responsibilities. One is that they must provide a safe environment for you to work. This is basic workplace health and safety. But psychological safety is now under the legislation for workplace health and safety. There's only one state that has that law pending, but they would still consider that psychological safety would be part of that. The only state that's showing is still pending is Victoria at the time that I last looked, which was 1 week ago. So it may have changed. I don't live in Victoria, but that's for you to find out what is in your state or your territory, because when you're working in the sector, this will be your postcode or the area where you go to work. So what you say in that space must match what the legislative requirements are as well. The Privacy and Confidentiality, or the Privacy Act of 1988, we cannot have those discussions that are private and confidential in front of the residents or even in front of those peers. So that's why it's really important what you do with those clients, what you do with the staff, and how you manage that to ensure that you have got a safe working environment. The second thing that an employer must do, and that is their responsibility, is to provide the resources for you to be able to do your job. That's what policies and procedures are. So if you were onboarded and to be able to get started, it's part of your HR orientation requirement, you usually sign off, I have read the policies and procedures. Now, it's rare for somebody to know policies and procedures inside out. However, you do need to know where they are kept, and you can refer back to them if you're unsure about something, rather than let a situation get out of hand like this. And that's the approach that you're going to be able to take. So it's a human resource matter. However, everybody is responsible for workplace health and safety. So while an employer has responsibilities, they also have rights. You have responsibilities as well as rights. So it's important that you know, especially in the community sector, because our clients are the most vulnerable members of our community. Yeah, just describe how you can deal sensitively and appropriately when encountering language barriers to ensure clear and respectful communication. You'll speak to your supervisor. Look, there is some language barrier there, and Ryan happens to have a stutter. The more anxious he becomes, the more his speech impediment is prevalent. So that's another approach that all has to be guided when you're doing your role plays. So regardless of whether you come to classes or not, you can come to next week's class where we're going to be doing that role play. Otherwise, if you need assistance, let the learner support officers know. And then, of course, if you have people to do the role play with. I've given you the instructions on the duration. I've given you a description on how we want that happen. And now I'm going to take us over just very briefly into how we mark you in that assessment. Okay, now where I have us now on the screen, I can just move that little bar for you. Just make sure we've got better visuals. So you can see here that this here is task 3B. Now this is ours. 3B is a observation checklist, which is the assessor's tool. And even though we give you instructions on what is it the assessor wants to see, this is actually how we mark you. So there are 6 points that you must reach throughout your skills presentation. You have in total 30 minutes, 3 lots of 10 minutes. So during the role play, I have observed the candidate demonstrate the ability, you're the candidate, communicate in a manner that shows respect to colleagues from diverse social and cultural groups. During the role play, I have watched the learner maintain a professional approach in every conversation and every dealing. Demonstrate inclusive work practices. So you'll be modelling that. Your non-verbal, your open hand rather than closed hand, your positioning of your body, giving people that appropriate space, your tone, your manner, all of that will be part of it. Demonstrate the effective use of verbal and non-verbal communication appropriate to each socially or culturally diverse situations. So we're hearing that they're having a problem around time management. We're hearing there's some intolerance there, which does borderline. You're not the HR manager, so your incident will flag that for an internal response. Your role is to just do this. So if you're employed as a support worker, you're not actually responsible for the HR side of it, unless that's what it's got in your position description. But in our instructions, it says that you are a support worker. So you're a support worker, and because you're doing Diploma of AOD, you're a support worker in a residential rehabilitation centre. And 5, deal sensitively and appropriately when encountering language barriers, ensure clear and respectful communication. Okay, the one just before it was the social and cultural. This one here is about language, where English is another language, or there is diversity, which happens to be a disability around a speech impediment. And then also seek assistance, that's the last 10 minutes, seek assistance from your supervisor to debrief and discuss the difficulties in the situation. So the debrief is about what was happening for you. You've got to share. You've got to say, well, I didn't know what was going on when I first entered the scene. It looked like this because your supervisor was not there. So it says that you need to have 4 others, but you can have one person out of the others play the role of supervisor, because that's just one-on-one, that part of the role play. But otherwise, you've got 3 people plus yourself. So there's 4 in the first part, and there is always 3 people. So the people that are involved, and then what are you going to do with Diane? Ideally, you would ask Diane, if at the moment she seems the least stressed, if she would be comfortable assisting so that the residents can have their morning tea, which is in your instructions, and then you can deal with Hader and Ryan. If it doesn't look like it's good to have them both in the same place, We want to see what you're going to do, or you'll need to tell us what you're going to do. And you'll explain all of that in your supervisor session. You'll be raising awareness around the gaps in the cultural respect, the cultural safety, the workplace health and safety around psychological safety, and that perhaps First Access has some gaps. And you've got ideas, you've thought about this, and your ideas are, what would you like to suggest to your supervisor? Like, what would be some great things, I think, for a meeting of minds? But whatever you're doing, this is about the resources and a safe place for everybody in the workplace. It can look bad if you had family members visiting and they saw that. They would have concerns about the safety of their family member that's there. Some people can be very triggered by that in the workplace. We have a lot of lived experience people who study and hold down roles, but just the noise could be quite triggering for them. It doesn't even have to be the topic, but it can set off a physical response to something that's happening. Even though it may not be a threat to them, their response around this type of thing. So it's critical that you manage that situation. You respect everybody's privacy. You make sure that you've got enough people around you. In role play land, you've got a magic wand, so you've got a couple of spare people. It just happen to look like they're free to help Diane be able to get everybody their morning tea, so that you can have Hader and Ryan. If that doesn't happen together, then you will need to say, look, you seem pretty upset. Would you like to wait for me in my office, or maybe pop outside, grab some morning tea or something yourself, and sit in the Zen garden, and I can come and meet you there if you like. Have you got your phone on? I've got your text. Yep, okay, great. We want to see it all. We want to see how you would manage 3 different short role plays around diversity, and you and your approach of working with people who have differing abilities and diverse needs. So DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusivity, are what you are going to be showing us in these 3 role plays. Okay, so I think I've explained that. But there's 5 will happen in the role plays, and then of course 6 is the last role play where it's you and your supervisor. So make sure you've got the instructions beforehand. If you're stuck and you need that support, then you can come back to your learner support officers. They'd be more than happy to do that. So you can see that behind me is LSO at haderinstitute.edu.au. And let me just show you what I would think in a residential rehabilitation place, what might be a good environment. I won't make it too sterile. You know what? I'm going to, it's not so much one-on-one, though maybe for, maybe for the final part, I might do that. Let's just see if we pop this in a, oh, I can see where we've done it. Look, I'm going to have this scenario all go down in the little cafe area on site, where the residents can come and get things and that as well. So this is kind of like almost ready for morning tea. There's a big table set up close by. This works for me. I can imagine this all going down there and everyone getting ready to have their morning tea, but it's not out yet. And packing up from a program. So morning tea's 9:30, it's 9:45 when this all goes down. So nobody's having their coffee, and they'll be cranky too. So that'd be the background, something similar. You choose what you like. If you are doing this on your own and you're recording this, make sure that if the people aren't physically in the room with you, that your backgrounds match. Or if you can't do that, then you will blur your background and you will describe it. You will just say, look, I'm actually sitting in an area in the dining area. People are waiting to have their morning tea. It's out, but we're still over here for the program. The people who are supposed to have the residents go for morning tea, they're in conflict at the moment. Set the scene. We're not there. You've got to show it to us. and that will show your sector knowledge and your ability to understand what that might be like. Let me just find what the final one might look like. Okay, so, yep. You're in the office now with your supervisor. In your supervisor's office, this is their clinic. There's 2 chairs. You're going to sit down. And it just looks like a nice, calm, relaxed place. This might be your office. It might be something like that. But you are going to be talking to your supervisor. So set the scene for us to be able to imagine that you would do that and the other person is on screen. Know that when you are doing your role play recordings, if you're using Zoom, your free 40-minute sessions, you need to have your settings up on the very top right-hand corner. There's an icon there and it says view. You must have your setting on gallery, so that you've got everybody that's there, and you must record it to your own device, not in cloud. In cloud, and if you've watched any of the class recordings, what happens is when one person is speaking, they are the only one that is on the screen. That won't work because the people who are playing the other roles, when they speak, will automatically cut you out, and you must be on the screen at all times. When they're talking, we're watching your attentive, your active listening skills, your body language. So you must always be on the screen. You will present professionally, so whatever support worker for AOD might wear to work that day is reasonable. Definitely not your pajamas. And if you can't be standing up, just make sure that you're authentic in how you approach that. And then if other people are in a different location, but you're all doing it in a similar environment, then make sure that you all agree and set that up and go, you know what, I'm going to make sure that we've all got a very similar background where I might be, so I might be there, but in another part of the building. So if you're not down at the cafe, this looks like a really good lounge area, common shared area, which a lot of residential places are like that. So maybe the cafe is just a little bit further down. That might be just the last bit of it just there, where people are really keen, morning tea's getting put out, but they're all still stuck over here in the program. Just set the scene, take us there. It needs to be a simulated workplace environment. Okay, so that's 30 minutes worth of work that you're going to be doing for task 3 of CHC DIV001, working with diverse people. I hope you found that helpful. In our 2 recordings for week 2, I have been over an overview, some slides. You will have your learner's guide, you will have the pre-recording, which is your resource to keep, and now you have 2 short recordings to be able to guide you with task 2, the research project, and now the bigger one, which is task 3, which of course we're going to be doing in classes next Wednesday. So we would be, oh gosh, that sounds like that's probably the 25th of June. Don't quote me on that. Let me see if I can find out for you though. I want to get that right, because if you get the recording, and I hope you watch recordings when they come out, that will give you the information that you're seeking. So let me just confirm for us. Yep, Wednesday, the 25th of June, the task 3 for the unit, CHCDIV001, those 3 role plays. There's going to be enough people in class to be able to do that. You'll be able to observe others if it's a bigger group, but if there's 4 people there and yourself, we are good to go. So thanks everybody. If you need anything, you can contact me while I'm your relief trainer, which instead of LSO, you just put my name. So, which is Vicky, VIKI. So if you put VIKI at haydorinstitute.edu.au, then you will find me. But always go to your learner support officers. We're a night college, as you know, so they work during the day from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. But like I said, if you get stuck and you need some assistance, send an email. Amazing team, super helpful, and they will guide you, whatever it is that you're looking for. So if you're not joining us, I hope that you found that this recording will help you to do these role plays in your own time as well. And good luck, everybody. And I'll see those who join us in class next week. Otherwise, good luck with your role plays, and we'll be able to assess them for you.